Hi, Brad.
Hello, Mrs. Tina. I miss you.
I miss you too. Welcome to Beauty in the Spirit, everyone. I am Tina Thompson.
And I am Joseph, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It took us a journey to get here, I'm sure. And for
Yes.
all of you who have a journey every week, we thank you for even putting yourself in position to watch us, to tune in, and make sure that we are all together in unity, in sound mind, body, and spirit. Yes?
Yes.
So, how has your week gone, Mr. Woodson?
It's been pretty good. I've been pretty busy. Just trying to get myself ready for the fall. You know, it's time for people to go back to school. People have been worried about this pandemic, whether or not to send their kids back to school. So just trying to enjoy these final days of summer. I know we're locked up inside, but still, you know, it's summertime and just enjoying the sun and the light and the air. What about you, Miss Tina? I think your mic, Miss Tina, is muted.
Yes, I said, well, to be honest,
Hmm.
in this generation of non humility and scandal and judgmentation, we can do our best to just stay correct in mind, body, and spirit. And I just was trying my best to stay balanced and I just tried to stay focused because it's so many things now that can take you off balance.
Amen. Amen. And I'm so happy we're talking about wellness and mental health. This is something that we don't normally talk about in our community. At least I feel that way. We don't talk about it enough. I feel like it's a taboo subject that people don't want to admit that, you know, they go through hard times and that maybe they're depressed. So I think this is so important that we're taking the time today to give some time for mental health and wellness.
Absolutely. And in that accord, I just wanted to let you know that it's a time where reflection, as we say every show, reflection is necessary for us to get to the next step in our lives. You know, sometimes what happens is we just allow so many pressures in our daily life to just flood us with feelings and emotions, and I'm included in you yourself. We are human. At the end of the day, we're human, and I think that's what's really one of my pet peeves. It's actually bigger than a pet peeve now. Is that this generation, as you taught me something called the cancel generation. I find it, yeah, we have to make people pay for their debts in society and the injustices that are done and have them rectify their behaviors. I'm in agreement and accorded and I agree with that whole philosophy of paying for what you did wrong and learning from it. But I just believe also that we've lost our empathy. We've lost some sense of empathy, and it's a contradiction for me because we're in a time in the world and humanity in general when compassion, love, concern, and just knowing that your ability to make someone else's life easier during this time. And I'll say that again, your ability to make someone else's life easier during this time, I feel it's all of our responsibility. You know, I'm looking around and I see people like, well, people are out here without masks and people, they don't care. And people have signs up in stores that say, you can't enter without masks. People are still entering without masks because what we're saying, as we always say, their liberties have been mistaken for their right to express, but in another way, they are also infringing on the rights of protection and safety. Because right now, it's not really about when it comes to that mask for protecting yourself. We don't know if it's 100% effective. But what we do know is that wearing it has helped a lot of people and has prevented a lot of people from getting sick. So in that way, why can't we just follow the rules?
No, I agree, Mrs. Tina. They talk about, or we talk about essential workers all the time, but are we really respecting and trying to protect our essential workers as we know, the essential workers are normally people of color, people that have to go to work in order to feed their family and their kids. And it's, do you acknowledge that person who drops your mail off? Do you acknowledge that person at the register when you go to get your groceries? These people are important. And I agree with you that you need to wear your mask, because you're endangering their lives, and they're putting their lives on a daily basis on the line in order for you to have basic needs, food, water, shelter, different things like that.
Yes, Mr. Woodson, I couldn't agree with you more. And as you know, one of my favorite words is absolutely. Yes, honey, absolutely. So I just wanted to say before we start our show, going into what is mental health. Why is it important? Well, it's important because of a personal balance. It affects other areas of life, such as physical wellness, emotional wellness, financial wellness, and spiritual wellness. For example, a person with good mental wellness who is suffering from a physical illness has a higher rate of recovery and a smaller risk of that illness from becoming critical or fatal than someone who has poor mental wellness. This is because mental wellness provides people with the ability to cope with and work through stress, frustrations, and even exhaustion. And we know all too well what that is as dancers and athletes. So these factors do not cause stress on the body. We need to be aware that we have to keep ourselves shielded, guided through the whole format of having our armor on, our weapon to work against these stresses. And another example, Mr. Woodson, of how mental health affects people is that there cannot be a place where they cannot funnel emotional stress. A sound mind strengthens emotional regulation and balance, and it promotes positive and healthy relationships along with strong performance skills that promote financial stability. And last but not least, what I want to really stress is that sometimes you being silent or not saying something to one is preserving your peace and their peace. Because if you know a person, you would understand that the silence is not shade or it's not disrespect. The silence is, guess what? You know me well enough to know that I need to have myself have peace because what I do in my life is very stressful at times. So if something is not in accord, just to have a moment of silence sometimes saves both parties so that no one, feels stressed or guilty.
Yes, I have something hanging on my wall that says be still. And I've had to force myself to be still. And I think it's hard for people to sometimes sit in silence because you have to confront your pain, maybe what you would like to have done and maybe didn't get a chance to do. Like all those things you have to face. And for some people, it's very, very difficult. I know for myself, I was running around like crazy before the pandemic. And now that I'm home, I'm really trying to figure out what do I need to get done? What makes me happy? How can I be better? And sometimes it can be painful to ask those questions of yourself, like how can you be better? Because you don't want to face it. You sometimes are running so much that you never have a moment to stop and to actually face it. And I think this is a time that people are facing things. So this is a time where people are dealing with depression because they're like, wow, I never had this time to really examine myself and reflect on my life. And for some people, it's just not a good time for them. I think you're muted, Mrs. Tina.
Yes, I know. I that is a very, very important point that you just brought about is because it's a fact as well. Is that a lot of people don't realize that you're not the only one. The whole world is stressed. And at this point, I think that we're having exercises that we need to do to just cope. I call them coping mechanisms. And sometimes what you're doing when you distress or you add stress to a person's lifestyle is that you are allowing your miseries and your disgruntledness to impact someone else's life. But what I also learned is that you have the power to not allow another person's misery to impact you. And that is something that is one to grow on because sometimes a person's misery can be so rude and so interactive that you have this human reaction to respond, or you have this human reaction to emote or say, hey, that's not right. Hey, you need to do that better. But I've learned that sometimes, like you said, with that piece of quotation on your wall, you have to just sit back and be silent because it's a lot of noise right now. It's a lot of noise online. It's a lot of noise in people's household. It's a lot of noise in people's heads. And they have every right because everyone has that noise in their head. And like I said, shout out to Michelle Obama and a lot of different celebrities that have that noise in their head, Mr. Woodson.
Yes, the noise, and especially living in New York City, you know, we have noise everywhere. And I think with us being artists, we're very susceptible to noise and to energy. And if the energy is bad, we can sometimes allow it to affect us. But we need to know how to like put up that protective bubble, push that energy away, and be like, look, this is not coming into my personal space. You keep that bad energy over there and let me do my thing over here and keep living. So
Absolutely. And on that note, I just wanted to let you know that we're not alone. And that's what today's show is about. Beauty in the spirit, mind, body, and empowerment for the spirit and the soul. And a lot of celebrities have been going through their own personal battles. I believe to have a strong family foundation and just to have a good friend or a confidant or an ear to listen to you in times of turmoil and strife is a real important factor for you to balance. Speaking of a celebrity that has issues and has put them out there and was very transparent, even in her ups and downs, and showing the family emphasis on just how we all deal with this on a real basis. So let's take a look.
Do you want to do this?
Do you? Because I don't appreciate you keep throwing out these names. That is what about my disrespect? All I have been is disrespectful. I've been called.
So who
I've been
gets
called,
to correct her?
Wait a minute.
Calm down. Whether you agree with Iyanla or not, you cannot disrespect her. Because none of you were raised that way. Tell her what you feel, but it's a way to do it, baby.
So I'm not due respect.
No, respect your elders.
Got it.
Let's go with what the word. You want to go with the word? I got this, Trina.
I didn't say anything, Mommy. I'm sorry.
We will. I'm telling you right darn now.
Here we go.
You say one more word, and I got you. We will respect her. Do I make myself clear? I see the hurt. I know you're hurt.
I'm not hurt. I'm disrespected.
You're going to calm down. She's frustrated for a lot of things. There's a lot that's going on with Tamar. And that's why we're here. Give yourself a chance.
Wow, that is something. Yes. Give yourself a chance. What do you feel about that, Mr. Woods? And I think Mama wasn't playing. She said, I will not let you disrespect your elders.
she's absolutely right. I think that's the problem with this generation, especially the young generation. Everyone is disrespecting the elders, their teachers, their neighbors, you know, the people that they work with. It's like, what happened to respect? I feel like we're living in a culture now where people can say anything to anybody, write anything on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and it's okay. And I feel like, where is the empathy that you talked about at the beginning of the show? We don't have empathy for each other anymore. It has been lost. And it's all about me, 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 which I think is so interesting because now we all are stuck at home. So what are you going to do now? But pay attention to your neighbors, your elders, your mother, your father, and your family, and take care of them.
Absolutely. And you know, that whole elder thing, which is why I chose Tamar Braxton as one of our topics of discussion today, is because I also have a champion side for her. Because one, I can respect how she reveals her true colors. Meaning whether she's mixed up emotionally or going through stresses, like her mother said, and the mother never lies. She said, you know, wait, I'm going to correct her, but at the same time, I'm going to also stand up for her and say, you know, hey, you know, she's behaving like this because to tie in with our mental issue and mental awareness today, is that people behave certain ways because of what they're going through. And sometimes what you see is just a product of their mental thought, their processes of maybe going through marital situations, career situations, all types of financial situations. So, especially as a celebrity, you have all types of issues, especially like you said, on this social media machine, being watched and stalked and judged. And I believe that we have watched these celebrities and people so long that we have believed that they're not human. They become inhuman to us. And at the end of the day, I believe that we will get back to a place of wellness when we start getting back to humanity.
I agree. I feel that there's so much pressure being a celebrity that you have people coming at you from all different directions, and you're trying to be better than your last project. You're trying to take care of your family. You're trying to be human. And people can say some very negative things in the media about you. And I think none of us are invincible, and none of us, those words hurt no matter where they're coming from. If you hear them enough, you can start to believe negativity. And so it's just so important to surround yourself with love and around people who've got your back and want the best for you and want to tell you the truth, even when it may be a little bit painful to hear.
Absolutely. And on that note, speaking of more celebrities that have come forth with their issues, we will observe some of the people. So we have Beyonce when she said it was beginning to get fuzzy. I couldn't even tell which day or which city I was at. I would sit there at ceremonies and they would give me an award. And I was just thinking about the next performance. She told The Sun in 2011, my mother was very persistent and she kept saying that I had to take care of my mental health. Now that is definitely one to grow on. We have Ellen herself, Ellen DeGeneres. She said, when I walked out of the studio after 5 years of working so hard, knowing I had been treated so disrespectfully for no other reason than I was gay, I just went into this deep, deep depression. It's so corny, but it's true. You have no idea where the darkest times of your life might end. So you have to just keep going, she explained. We have The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He said, I found that with depression, one of the most important things you could realize is that you're not alone. He said this in a YouTube video. You're not going to go through it. You're not going to be the first to go through it. You're not going to be the last to go through it. And sometimes, and oftentimes it happens, you just feel like you're alone. You feel like it's only you. You're in your bubble. And I wish I had someone at that time who could just pull me aside and say, hey, it's going to be okay. So I wish I knew that. Very, very interesting.
No, I agree with that. I agree with what Ellen DeGeneres talked about, because several years back, I lost both of my parents and I fell into a deep depression and I didn't know what to do next, but I kept telling myself, your parents would want you to go on and keep pushing forward. And so I didn't allow myself to sit in that dark place for very long. I talked to people, I called my friends, and I kept moving. And I know it may be difficult to move in this time of the pandemic, but connect with people. You have to just keep going, because we all have those moments in our lives where we're like, it's just hard. It's just very hard and difficult, and everything's really uncertain right now.
Absolutely. But on a brighter note, we're going to get to how you can talk about mental wellness and depression and anxiety. A lot of people, Mr. Woodson, they don't realize that anxiety is a form of low-grade depression. A lot of people don't realize that there are a lot of elements of depression. Just like you have a lot of levels in dance and fitness, you might be in ballet 1. You might be in fitness level, a basic beginner aerobics class. And then over the years, you excel to an advanced aerobics class. Or you're able to keep up with a advanced Zumba class when you didn't start out like that. And speaking of beginnings, that's a whole nother show. Listen to this, honey. We forget those beginnings. It's amazing that every guru had their start. Every guru had their place through dance and fitness and art and media and music, all of the performing arts, not even the performing arts, careers in general. Everyone has their start, and you have to have that start, that beginning that keeps you humble. I believe a lot of depression and anxiety is coming out through different things. One, because we're isolated, which is forcing us, like you said, to go into those deep feelings and those places of hurt and those places, those uncertain places where we have to really examine, why am I feeling this way? What is the cause of my depression? What am I longing for? What am I missing? What did I lose? A lot of times I meditate, and I appreciate on you, Mr. Joseph, for just sharing that with me, is because a lot of times I realize that a lot of your grief or your angst is coming from a place that you did not come to full acceptance with. You just brushed it off and you kept going. And then it comes to a culmination when you go, I will not stand for it. I will not take it anymore. So what happens is repression, or what happens is you push people away, or what happens is you say something that you sometimes I believe you mean, but not fully, because sometimes the way it comes out is a little bit more aggressive, because that's what happens when you have repressed emotions. Everyone at this stage of the game, I believe, has a repressed emotion. No matter how much we come, because listen, I get my life from you with these extravaganzas on Friday, and then whenever we do a beauty and a spirit episode, okay, of episodic fabulosity. Yes, that's what we will call this, an episodic fabulosity. And all that being said is that this is really about us accepting each other's weaknesses. If we can accept each other's strengths, and if we could be an opportunist, or we could milk somebody's strengths of what their strengths offer our lives. Miss Tina, you're very inspiring. Miss Tina, you're very encouraging. Miss Tina, you're very nurturing. Mr. Woodson, you're so intelligent. Mr. Woodson, you are so loving. You are so emphatic. Mr. Woodson, you are so instructional. You're so giving. Okay, so now you name my strengths, but how are you going to feel the same way with my weaknesses?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Am I making sense?
No, you're making sense. I mean, I think some people, they come around, or they're around certain individuals to get energy, to become uplifted, to become empowered. And then once they get that, they run, and then it's not reciprocal always. I mean, the person that's always strong and the person that's always giving out the energy to uplift also has times where they also need to be uplifted. And I think people forget about that. You know, we all have moments of being really vulnerable and just needing to have extra support.
I said, absolutely. And speaking of that, how to talk about it is, when you're sad, you might describe yourself as feeling lonely, heartbroken, gloomy, disappointed, hopeless, grieved, as I spoke of, unhappy, lost, troubled, resigned, which is one of my favorite ones. Not my favorite one, but one of my most related ones I can relate to is resigned. Like, I've had enough. Like, until you can understand that you have been selfish long enough, because a lot of times when people resign, or doesn't mean that they've given up. Sometimes that means that they've given up on you as playing your role in their life. Sometimes that means like your time is up in my life. Your time is up in my life for you to continue to expose and be vulnerable, to be opportunistic, like you're saying, in my life. The time is up for you to keep taking up all the elements that are around me. You feel me on that, right? You keep taking up all the elements around me. You know, I'm around him because he has the friends that I want. He has the connections that I want. So therefore, you know, I really think that a lot of people who are opportunistic, Mr. Woodson, is really deep and kind of like side shady, is that they don't even know that that's a form of, when you lag onto someone, that's a form of anxiety. If you really think about it, because what happens is, if you notice, an opportunist is constantly looking for someone that they can cling on to. So basically, they have a dependency, is what I'm saying. They have a personality dependency. And within that personality dependency, and we all have traits like that, but some more than others, meaning that a thief is used to stealing. Am I making sense? He has a habit of stealing. So he keeps going to the next thing of where he can steal from, the next person, the next place. But his habit is the same. Same thing with an opportunist. They say, okay, let me latch onto this group of people so I can get to the next set of connections so I can continue to go higher. But quiet is kept, it becomes a drug for them where they have stolen from so many people's spirits, like you said, and their energies that they really haven't come to a place where they begin to acknowledge their own strength.
No, I agree. And I think, like we were saying, this moment in history, we've all had to stop. No matter what your socioeconomic background is, how much money you make, where you live, it doesn't matter. We all had to stop. The stars and the common person next door. So if you were used to stealing, you can't steal right now. If you're used to taking from certain people, you have to sit within your own self and examine your own feelings and thoughts and just think about life because it's uncertain right now for everyone.
Absolutely. And another thing I wanted to talk about is exercising regularly helps with stress. And if when you also have to keep up with your doctor's appointments. I know that I have one coming up as well. But you have to keep up with because I don't like, to be honest with you, I'm not a doctor person. Listen, I have had clients that are doctors and quiet is kept. I'm like that, in a lot of ways, us fitness professionals, that's what I call us. And dance professionals likewise, because dance, as you said, we know is a healing mechanism. It's an art. It's a beautiful thing. Our gift called dance, the gift God gave me and you called dance, and so many other fellow artists. And that is why it's important that we treasure that gift and we use that gift to not just go on social media and to flaunt our stuff or something. Sometimes I see people, they working out just I can see that, it's inspiring a lot of people, but I can see that they're going to work themselves out to death. I'm like, look, she looks like,
Yes.
Do you experience that? Let's talk about that briefly.
No, I do. I mean, I think it's like a drug for some people. I think if they don't have that endorphin rush, they would fall into a deep depression. And so I think for some people, it's like a drug. Like they have to work out. And of course, we all need to work out for our own mental and physical being. But I think for some people, with the gyms closing, with being stuck in the house, with not having any interaction with people, it's like they don't know what to do. It's like they're going crazy. It's really for their mental sanity and stability, the working out. And it actually calms them afterwards. There's like a response in the body after working out.
Yes. And another thing is, as artists, I can only speak from that area a lot of times because I share different, like we always said, me and you, we can wear different hats, and we're blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But the thing that I'm also observing is that I'm going, wow, okay, you have the body is getting better, and the body. Listen, I'm looking at some bodies going, wow, I remember when I want that body back. I remember how it was to be that in shape, and it felt great. I could do. In my head, I still say, well, I can still do that. Like, I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But I'm like, I can still, like, physically, I know there's some things I can still do. But due to changes, I go, I can still do it. But the way that I want to do it as a professional is not how I want to do it. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. So the best thing for me to do is get to a place where I'm in physical shape and mental shape, where I can say, hey, I'm back at that place where I can exude my gifts and my talents and the love for my art in a productive way and feel great about it because I've come to that physical space that I've achieved, maybe the muscle tone that I had, or I'm, maybe 50% or 70% back to, what maybe we had when we were younger, but it's still there. But some that I've observed, it's like they're working out so hard that you can see it in their faces. And listen, this is our show, and hopefully people will learn and heal from it before I go into some of our sponsors. But I realized, wow, it is a way to get it out. But sometimes, like I said, you could work the physical body over and over again. But if that mind, I think I told you this in one show, that, I can sit in all types of positions in yoga, do all types of things with my body. Remember I told you that? I said, but up here, I wasn't relaxed. I wasn't rested. So what I'm saying to you, Mr. Woodson, and I'll let you elaborate on this, is that I'm like, wow, they in their face, they look so strained. They look so and I understand the propensity of concentration as a professional when you're working out and you're pulling up and I get that because we're studied. But besides that, I still have to know that you're in it because one, we have to work out, we have to do something during this time, but you're also in it because you have this platform to share. Sean McLeod said that one time. He says that with me. To share. You must share the platform. And then if you don't share the platform, it becomes vain. It becomes vain. Because what I'm going is, if you're dealing with a professional or a fitness person like us or me, I can see straight through it because I do it. I've done it every day for over 20 years. So I know those places where it's like, okay, you need to take a mental break. Like, it looks like your body is amazing and you look tight, but it really looks like you're going to have a breakdown. And I've observed this, and I say, you know what? Wow, I can relate to that. Like, you're pushing yourself so much.
I mean, I think it's the same thing. You can also relate it to being a celebrity. I feel some celebrities push themselves so hard in order to make it to the next level that it can start to mentally tear them down. And it's the same thing with people who are vigorously trying to work out. I mean, I think we should do a study where that person, that type of personality type, cannot work out for 2 weeks to see what would happen to them. I think they would just mentally just totally just break and shut down. And I think people need to take a moment to pause. It's not just about this physical exterior. It's about what's really happening on the inside. And I think people are always pushing towards success, always pushing towards a better body, a better this, and it just gets to be too much, and people reach their breaking point at a certain point.
They absolutely do reach a breaking point, and everyone reaches a breaking point. And I feel that when you don't experience I believe breaking points make you stronger. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but and it's not, the Disneyland of acceptance. But listen, okay, you won't see unicorns and Mickey Mouse talk about, yes, girl, you better work depression, you better work anxiety out, honey. No, that's not something any of us want. But I tell you this, the greatest minds in the world have experienced. I just put it up here. Beyonce, we have Michelle, we have Ellen DeGeneres, we have The Rock, we have Tamar Braxton. We have, the pressures of being Toni Braxton's sister alone, with her having such amazing gifts and talents herself, just the pressure of constantly having to put that on, just to put that diva on, it can weigh on a person. That's why I say, when you're a natural born leader or a diva or a boss, let me tell you, you have to let people know, this is not the day for me, honey. Okay, this is not the ginger snap. Okay, some days are not Skittles and rainbows, because what happens is, I believe in Beyonce, a major figure. I believe that's why she's so private. I believe that's why she just has times where she's just like, okay, I got to change this list of dancers. I have to change this team of production, because what happens is sometimes your energy needs to be fed by a new set of energies. Yes. That can change, that can understand. The higher you go, Mr. Woodson, in life, you have to make your circle smaller. And a lot of people don't realize that you could say, I've danced with this person, I've worked with this person, I've did Courglay, Foreglay, Broadway, la shaka paka. You did all of it. But let me tell you, you are showing me signs that if you did not have all of that, you are not happy. You are simply not happy unless you are bragging or running your mouth or bringing someone else down. And those are not traits of somebody that's happy and healthy in mind, body, and spirit.
And someone who shows empathy and compassion, like you said before. Empathy and compassion is what we all need. What we all need right now.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Woodson. And listen, all my life, I'm one on that empathy and compassion. I've been scarred and almost well, I won't say drag, because a diva holds a bud, honey, but not, just to the point where I'm always but I've been blessed too, to the point where I'm like, oh, okay, give that person another chance. Oh, okay, I understand. And so what happens when, like I said, when Beyonce or any of the celebrities, and we had a comment up here that celebrities are humans too, it comes to a point where you're like, hey, wait a minute. I have to protect my emotions. Because a lot of times, even with celebrities, a lot of things are going on around them. They got to watch their back so much. So many people are trying to get over on them. People are, like we said, opportunists are around them. And what happens is it depletes them because they can't come to a place sometimes where they can decipher who's real or who's fake or or truthful. So it actually adds to their anxiety because they have to build this defense mechanism because they're not always sure who's for them.
And on top of that, they have to always be constantly worried about their image. What to say, what not to say. Is this going to be taken out of context? Who's going to go back and report this to whoever? It's like, it's a constant trying to be aware of what's going on around them. And at the same time, trying to focus on their artistry, whatever that may be. Trying to be better, trying to push themselves. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot.
It's a lot of pressure, but we can get through this.
Yes.
I believe we can get through this. I believe if we come to we have to go in that place. I say it all the time, where, like you just shared so beautifully with your experience with your parents. And I can relate to that because the loss of my father and my grandmother and different family members through different horrific things and occurrences and just the mortality of life is you go through so many emotions when you don't have those support systems anymore in the physical. You lose, sometimes you don't see the physical and you just lose the spontaneity of life. You like you said, you don't know why you should go on. Is there anything to go on? And is there any reason to go on? But I tell you, there is a reason to go on, and it's called purpose.
Yes.
It's called purpose. Meaning, I got up this morning and I had trials and tribulations, but I tell you this, Mr. Woodson, I know that I was put here to share, to choreograph, to produce, to give, and to excel, and to exude excellence in all of my fiber and being, what my mama gave me birth through the great creator. And I am so grateful that I have a gift like yourself to be able to say, you know what, through it all, I have a purpose.
Yes. And like you said, I believe in a higher being. I believe in the creator. I think a lot of people are lacking that. I think they've relied so heavily on outside influences to make them feel good that they're forgetting the one connection that we all have, and that's to God, the higher creator, or whoever you call that being that created all of us. I think a deep spiritual connection is what we are all looking for throughout this life. We are all looking for love. And I think people have gotten that whole idea misconstrued and mixed up with, let me have a bigger body, better body, let me go get a facelift, a nose job, and me looking a certain way on the outside is going to make me feel better on the inside.
Absolutely. And before we go to this next person that really has a grip on spirituality, I respect him greatly. I actually have listened to him through some trials and tribulations myself. And I believe that I don't look to the universe. For me, myself, listen, when I take in oxygen and I got up this morning, listen, I know that there's a creator. I know there's a God. In my life, I have experienced some things that I will not go through right now. We will do in the latest show. But I have experienced some things that I know it was God. Yes. I know it was God. I have been through some very personal experiences that it could have only been God. And don't give me its chance. And, listen, a lot of people have a lot of upsets with God right now. We won't talk about that because, it's a very touchy subject. But I believe that until people embrace that he exists, and don't give me, I'm a God, we're all gods. Listen, of course we have God in us because he created us. We are made in his image. So yes, we are emulations of his personality and his likeness. And our ways, he wants us to exude his ways and to know him. And that's where I'm going, is that you have to know him. In order for you to know him, this is the only way the mind, the body, and soul is going to be right. Because a lot of people, they're turning off their moral button right now, Mr. Woodson. They know, yes, a sin is a sin, but the moral button doesn't mean you turn it off because you want to just justify what you're doing. I don't believe in turning that moral button off. Like you said, you have to have empathy, whether the person is black, white, gay, straight, anything. You have to show that person love. You have to give them the love of God and know that we are all created equally and we all should be treated the same way. But you have to know that somebody created you. And then when you come to that, you can get up in the morning or you can end your day knowing he kept me. And I'm so grateful he kept me. So we're just going to take a quick look.
Why are so many people wrestling with mental illness today, and particularly even in the church? You had alluded to even pastors going to the point of committing suicide. What's going on in our society today, and what does the church need to be doing?
We are bombarded with images like no other generation before us. From social media to 24-hour news cycles, we have images before us of decomposed bodies and murders and mysteries and killings and mayhem every day. Well, the Bible talks about without a vision the people perish. It depends on what you look at, whether you perish or whether you produce. And I think that we have released so much stress on ourselves. We have made ourselves available to more people than we ever have in the history of this planet. You can text me. You can tweet me. You can get me on Facebook. You can Instagram. You can Periscope. You can dial me up on the phone. You can write me a letter. We have no privacy. We have no peace. We have no off switch. So all of a sudden, it's not only that you're bombarded with pressure, it's that you can't get away from it. And I think that's a real problem for people of faith and leaders and all types of people. We are just imploding. And I think what we can pray for is the still place, the calm place. He leadeth me beside still waters. And I think not only pray for, we need to practice having little Sabbaths, like the Bible said we should, and just get away from everything, shut everything down, cut the switch off so that you can find you. You found your followers, you found your friends, you found everything. Find you. And in quietness and confidence, the Bible said, shall be your strength.
Wow. That's something. Is it not? Is it not? Wow. That's amazing. You just said that. It's like you really need to be in stillness.
And you're right. We are bombarded by social media. I myself, I try not to look at Facebook and Instagram every single day. It's too much. And then you find out things about people that you did not know about, and it's like, did I really want to know this about this person? I don't know. I think it's a little too much information. So I've been trying to have my vacation from social media as much as possible.
Yes, but listen, I do encourage them to catch us on Beauty in the Spirit and subscribe to our channel at Skin Dance Company YouTube channel. If you don't want to go on social media, you can come take a look at all of our uplifting and encouraging episodes dealing from dance, fitness, and all types of topics and discussions that we have up here. So in your free time, if you want to get away from all the gossip, and the let have, and the judgment, and the judgmentation, and the scandal that's going up on the web, which I believe at the end of the day, no matter how juicy you talk, or no matter how many people always go looking for you for some gossip, at the end of the day, what they have in their mind about you is you're not worthy. So therefore, they go to you only for information. And you want people coming to you because, honey, you are of substance. Yes. You get love, honey. You know your worth. And when you come to me, you will not get gossip and gossip. You will get the let have of truth, integrity, and moral. And if you don't, I will let alone, honey. I will delete, and block you, because you are not giving me what I need to keep my mental stability and my spiritual wealth and health. So now, on that note, let's have another look at it.
Hi, I'm John. I'm 37, and for most of my adult life, I've struggled with mental illness. The medication I take helps most of the time. But sometimes when I'm stressed or overworked, my symptoms creep up on me and I have to work really hard to get them under control again. But over the years, I've learned a few strategies that have helped me deal with my symptoms before they become a big problem. These tips have really helped me stay healthy and positive.
Well, we have some tips coming up here. But before we release those tips, I believe that I want to get one from you, Mr. Whitson, on what we need to do to keep health and wealth mentally.
For our mental health. So I explained I turn off the social media for myself. I like to just have some quiet time. I think watching the news too much, like it can be a lot of bad things and you just can start to worry a lot. So I like to turn off the news. I personally like a long shower or a nice long hot bubble bath so that I can just sit, listen to some music. Some good old school music is always soothing for the soul. Dancing, just get up and move. Just dance around your apartment, dance around in the shower, like just be happy. So those are some of my tips. What about you, Mrs. Tina? So I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Because this is an episodic. I'm just going to let you know that at the end of the day, we need to do everything you said. And mine, and what I'm going to give you is, you have to acknowledge that you are upset. You know, I've come to that. For me, I'm also applying other things, but you cannot repression is a very dangerous thing. I believe that's why people have high blood pressure. I believe that's why a lot of people are really, really suffering because they have put on this facade. And listen, I say all the time, we are of excellence. See, you can't relate to me if you don't understand what excellence is. Because all I know is pulling up, pliing, being snatched, being precise, being professional, and being technical. And I've come from a lineage of great teachers and great backgrounds where that is all I can exude is excellence. So when I come and I do things that require my ability and my talent and my art, I have to make sure is that I dotted, is that T crossed? Because if not, I'm not affiliated with it because I have a high bar of excellence. And is that too much for some? Yes. Because if you're not bred around excellence, you can think that people who are like us or who put pressure on themselves are narcissistic or too much or overbearing because you haven't been taught to keep the bar of excellence. So what am I saying in all of this? Is that everybody has their stress factor. And you have to know yourself as a person. If it's too much for you to take a ballet 6 or ballet 4 class, girl, get your money and walk out the door, sit in the car and have a Twinkie. I'm dead serious. Okay, listen, you cannot get mad because you're in the ballet 4 class and you cannot get past the bar. What you should do is after the bar, you pack that bag and you say, you know what, I'll chalk it up as a donation to the school or the company. Thank you. Okay, because if you let that get to your ego, you will have anxiety. Because a lot of dancers especially put anxiety. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. Yes, you didn't have that. There's some dancers that did. But that doesn't mean that you're not worthy. That does not mean that you're not good enough. I keep stressing that. There's something in this life that you are meant to do. There's something that you're great at. So that's where a lot of stress and anxiety comes in, is that a lot of people are saying, yeah, I belong in this ballet 4 class, or I belong in this music class, or I belong in this acting production. And you didn't even do a Stella Adler 101 course, or you didn't even say, hey, let me take some time to research or get myself a mentor where acting comes into play. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you have to realize that a lot of things come to you because you have not come to acceptance of where you are in life and what you need to do to get to the next level. And then you take it out on other people because your gift is not necessarily situated in this area, or that's not your destiny. Sometimes you are qualified, but guess what? God wants you over here. He's like, no, I need to have your gift over here, Tina Thompson. So I need you to move or remove yourself. And no one might not understand you or where I'm taking you, but it is necessary for you to go to the next level. So that's what you got to do. You got to come to acceptance. Don't put yourself in places and things that are not serving you because you're not ready. And then you blame everybody else. You say, oh, it was them, it was her, it was the production, it was the teacher, it was the company, it was the institution. I was this, I was abused. Listen, you cannot continue to let the trials and tribulations of life mark you forever. You got to get a mentor or a loved one or family mentor that you can talk to where you can begin to heal. You have to heal. You have to heal. And a lot of people are being mentally drained from this COVID, Mr. Woodson.
Yes. But also I was saying, you have to turn off the news. I mean, you got to turn it off. You have to turn it off and just go inside. It's just, when this first started, I was watching the news and I was like so afraid of everything. I was like, oh, should I go outside? You know, this person not wearing their mask. They're not 6 feet away. It's like all those things can start to like play with you mentally. And it's like at the end of the day, we all have to have faith and we have to like use our mind and follow the instructions of what we need to do. And not let it drain you, because we don't know when there's going to be a vaccine. So you're going to allow this COVID to drain you for the next month into 2021. Like, who wants to live like that? And that's what we were saying, that people fall into a depression. If you let it drain you to a point where you fall into a depression, it can lead to other really negative outcomes. So we're here. We're here to pull you out. Beauty in the Spirit. We are here. Join us on Fridays. We love the viewership.
Yes, we do.
You to be here with us into 2021 and beyond, into the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. I couldn't have said that any more better. Is that we welcome you for our discussions, our show. We have some upcoming things that we're going to announce. But first, we will get to our sponsor for today, which is DS Delights.
Yes.
DS Delights. Yes, it's on our Facebook, so you can go up there and see it on Facebook at DS Delights Brooklyn. And I'm debuting one of her newest pieces, and this is called The Chrissy, and it's purple and black, and it's really beautiful. I mean, she has such beautiful jewelry up there, and it's all handcrafted. So for all the dancers out there, don't forget, dance is the hidden language of the soul. And through the soul, you can also speak loudly in the things that you adorn your body with. So thank you so much for being our sponsor for today. You have Yvette, and you have Kelly, and you have Alyssa, and they have Debbie. Honey, she's giving you names, honey. She's giving it to you. Yes, honey, she's giving you an array. Again, DS Delights Brooklyn, spelled BKLYN on Facebook. You can also contact her on Instagram, DS Delights Brooklyn. Wow.
I love it.
Do you have any final things that you would like to say for today's show, Mr. Woodson?
I just want to say I'm so glad we're talking about this. I think we can even do more shows about this because it's very taboo. Like, people don't want to talk about being depressed. They're like, oh, everything's fine. No, we've all gone through anxiety during this time and throughout our lives. So I want to thank you for bringing this to the forefront. If you are experiencing depression, anxiety, call a friend. Do not sit in that dark place. Get up, do what you need to do, but do not allow it to fester, because it will continue to grow and envelop you, and it's not what you need right now. If you're by yourself, call someone and tell them how you're feeling. Reach out and watch us. You know, we are here also to empower you and uplift you. So just stay safe. What about you, Mrs. Tina? Any final thoughts?
No, I just wanted to let you know that was beautifully. I'm in agreement, honey. I'm living for this top, honey. She's giving me Lion King.
Yeah, this is for you, the Lion King.
Yeah, honey, she's giving me the Lion King. You know, we have a rendition of called the Lioness Chant at Skip. in which I incorporate zebras and all types of things. Okay, there's all types of speakings in our Lioness chant rendition of the Lion King. So look forward to that. I can't wait until we get to a place where we can be mentally well enough to say, hey, we all have had issues during this pandemic, like one comment up here said. She said, this COVID, it's draining me. And if we could come to an acceptance, we can get past it. Yes. Speaking of that, my thing is you have to stimulate yourself with a purpose. And as me, I've always had lots of projects. So speaking of projects, today's show, we are going to give you a release of a new ambassador program that myself and Mr. Woodson are part of. And it is going to be Visceral Fitness, virtual dance fitness education coming to your home. We are ambassadors for virtual dance fitness education. We will have online classes and instruction for fall 2020 and winter 2020, as well as summer 2021. So look forward to that visceral fitness coming into your home. Go to www.skindancecompany.com, and we definitely will keep you going with all of that new virtual education.
Exciting. I cannot wait. I'm so excited about this.
I am too. It's going to be really something. And then we'll have a whole list of educators and a whole list of people that can come out and experience just our personalities in their home.
Yes.
And a lot of people have been taking classes. Like we had one former show. She said prior show, she was like a younger fitness professional. She said, you know, Miss Tina, my wellness really wasn't that well because, you know, that balance, because I felt people were taking advantage of our worth on social media because there were so many free outlets. And I agree with her to a certain aspect because people, people are going to exactly what just gives them the high of making them feel good. But they have forgotten the people that have kept them uplifted before this pandemic. And trust me, this too shall pass. Someone of loving affection to me told me that the other day. Someone very close to me said to me, this too shall pass. Remind me of that scripture. And it will pass. But know that when it passes, life will not be the same. And you have to give common grace and honor to the people who have taught you before and after the pandemic to preserve and to persevere your strength. And their words that brought you through so you can get through those times. Not by someone that's just temporarily amusing you and you're following them. Because trust me, you followed us once too. So that person will learn about you sooner enough that that's what you are, an opportunist, and you do whatever floats your boat. And like we said, a lot of I know one thing, you won't be taking up my time at the sink when I'm trying to get out for a skin dance rehearsal, and you're taking up my time giving me a soliloquy about your life at the sink, and I'm trying to wash my hands, and you sitting there, Miss Tina, and then you haven't registered for a class yet. Girl, bye. Girl, bye. Go on over there. This is what you do when you want to clean your mind. You have to get rid of the opportunists. And for anybody out there that has friends that are not supportive and people who have been taking advantage of your kindness, keep your empathy out there. Keep your heart. Never change your ways, but do not let anyone take advantage of you. And continue to heal. It's very important that you continue to heal. Yes? And on that closing note, we'd like to thank you for joining us for this segment of health and wellness for celebrities, real people, and the COVID moment. Yes? So thank you so much for joining us again for this exclusive.
Cheers, Mrs. Tina.
Yeah. I fear no doom, for thou DJ is with me, and thy kick and thy bass, they comfort me.
He's the light.
He prepares the dance floor for me in the presence of my friends, and he has anointed my head with classics.
DS the Light children, mention Miss Tina, get 5% off, honey. And Mr. Joseph, Beauty and the Spirit, honey. Yeah.
guys.
Come to you in my hand.